she's been sleeping with someone else for months. The words didn't just land, they detonated. 1 second, there was laughter, music, glasses clinking under soft golden lights. My 7th anniversary party. Perfect, warm, everything I had worked so hard to build. The next? Silence. Thick, heavy, suffocating. I didn't even realize I had stopped breathing until all eyes turned toward me. "Excuse me, what?" I finally said, my voice barely above a whisper. But the damage was already done. Standing across the room, holding a champagne glass like she owned the moment, was Vanessa Anjoya, my sister-in-law. 32, always composed, always smiling just a little too carefully. And right now, she looked certain. Not emotional, not angry, certain. "Amara," she said calmly, almost gently, "I didn't want to do this here, but everyone deserves to know the truth." The truth? My stomach dropped. Around me, people shifted. Friends I had known for years, family members who had hugged me just minutes ago. Now their expressions were different. Curious, uncomfortable, some already suspicious. Even worse, I turned to my husband, Daniel, 37, the man who had stood beside me for 7 years, the man who had just toasted to our unshakable bond 10 minutes ago. He wasn't defending me. He wasn't even speaking. He was just staring at me. Confused. Searching. And that hurt more than anything Vanessa could have said. "I've seen the messages," Vanessa continued, her voice steady. "Late-night calls, secret meetings. You didn't even try to hide it well." A murmur rippled through the room. Messages? Meetings? What was she talking about? My mind raced, fast, too fast, replaying every moment, every conversation, every late night at work. None of this made sense. And yet, why did she sound like she believed it? Why did she sound like she could prove it? I scanned the room again. A few people were already whispering. One of Daniel's cousins avoided eye contact. My friend Clara looked at me like she didn't know what to think. And then it hit me. This wasn't just an accusation. This was a setup. But how? Vanessa took a small step forward, lifting her chin slightly. "I even know who it is," she said. The room leaned in. My heart pounded. She paused, just long enough to let the tension stretch, to let everyone imagine the worst. That's when I exhaled slowly. And for the first time since she spoke, I stopped reacting. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Then I glanced past her, at the TV mounted on the wall behind the bar. And something inside me shifted. Calm. Cold. Controlled. "Are you done?" I asked quietly. She blinked, clearly not expecting that. I tilted my head slightly. "Or," I added, my voice steady now, "do you want me to finish the story for you?" The room froze again, because whatever was about to happen next, no one was ready for it. What hurt the most wasn't what she said. I paused, letting my eyes move slowly across the room. It was how quickly all of you believed it. No one spoke. Not a single person stepped in. And that silence, it told me everything. Vanessa let out a soft, almost amused breath. "Oh, please, Amara, don't play the victim now." Play the victim? I almost laughed. But instead, I stayed still, watching, listening, Because now that the shock had passed, something else was becoming clearer. This wasn't random. This was planned. Anne started walking toward the TV mounted behind the bar. Each step felt louder than it should have, heavier. Behind me, I could hear the shift, chairs creaking, people adjusting, tension tightening like a wire about to snap. "Amara, what are you doing?" Daniel's voice cut in, low and tense. I stopped just long enough to glance at him. "I'm ending this," I said quietly. Not angry, not emotional, certain. Then I kept walking. Vanessa's tone sharpened behind me. "Oh, this should be good. Let me guess, you're about to show us some fake edited nonsense to cover your tracks?" I didn't respond, because that's what she wanted. Engagement, reaction, chaos. But I wasn't playing her game anymore. I reached the TV, set my phone down on the counter, connected it. The screen flickered to life. And just like that, every single conversation in the room died. Now they were all watching, waiting. "What exactly are we looking at?" someone asked. I picked up my phone again, scrolling calmly. "You'll see," I said. Behind me, I could feel it. Vanessa's confidence wasn't gone, but it wasn't as solid anymore. She shifted her weight, subtle. But again, I saw it. Daniel stepped closer now, his voice lower. "Amara, if this is some kind of misunderstanding, we can talk about this privately." I shook my head slightly. "No," I said. "We're done doing things privately." That landed, because he knew. Deep down, he knew he should have said something earlier. I paused on the file. A video, dated 3 weeks ago. The thumbnail alone was enough to make my pulse spike, but I kept my face neutral. Then, slowly, I turned back toward Vanessa. "You really should have been more careful," I said. Her eyes narrowed. "Careful about what?" I held her gaze for a second longer, then looked back at the screen. "You assumed I didn't know," I added softly. That was the moment. The exact moment her expression changed. Not fully, but enough. Enough for anyone paying attention. The room leaned in again. Different this time. Not judgment. Suspense. I tapped the screen. The video expanded. The first frame froze for half a second, and then I pressed play. A faint static crackled through the speakers, and then a voice filled the room. Clear, undeniable, familiar. "Once everyone believes it, he won't have a choice." The room went still. Because of that voice? It wasn't mine. It was Vanessa's. It wasn't just her voice. I let the audio play for half a second longer. It was what she was saying. On the screen, the camera angle was fixed, slightly tilted, tucked into the corner of my home office, not obvious unless you knew where to look. Vanessa stood in the frame, in my space, on my phone, relaxed, comfortable, like she belonged there. "Once everyone believes she's cheating," her voice continued through the speakers, clearer now, sharper. "Daniel won't have a choice. The divorce will be messy, and I'll make sure she walks away with nothing." A collective gasp ripped through the room. Someone actually said, "Oh my God," under their breath. I didn't move, didn't speak. I just let it play. Because now, the truth didn't need me. Vanessa's head snapped toward the screen, her face draining of color. "That's not," she started, stepping forward. "That's taken out of context." But no one was listening to her anymore. Not really, because the video wasn't finished. "I've already started, changed the contact name, sent messages from the backup phone. It's easy. People see what they expect to see." A ripple of shock moved through the crowd. You could feel it shifting, fast. Doubt turning into realization. Whispers changing direction. Now they weren't about me. They were about her. I glanced at Daniel. His expression had completely transformed. The confusion? Gone. Replaced with something heavier. Betrayal. Not toward me, toward her. "Vanessa," he said slowly, his voice tight. "What is this?" but she was already shaking her head, backing up slightly. "It's edited! She's twisting it! You really think she wouldn't do that to save herself?" I reached for my phone, paused the video. Silence crashed back into the room again. But it wasn't the same silence. This one was different. This one was heavy with truth. Then I tapped the screen again. "Let's not stop there," I said. Another clip loaded. Shorter, grainier. The angle shifted. Same room, different time. The door opened quietly, and there she was again. Vanessa, looking over her shoulder before stepping inside, moving straight to my desk, opening drawers, checking my laptop. Her movements weren't rushed. They were practiced, intentional, calculated. This wasn't suspicion anymore. This was proof. Clear, undeniable, damning. The room erupted, voices overlapping, questions flying, disbelief turning into outrage. Vanessa's composure shattered. "Okay, wait, just listen to me," she snapped, her voice rising now, desperate. "You don't understand what she's really like." "No," I said sharply. The room fell silent again. I stepped forward. Not fast, not aggressive, just enough to stand where everyone could see me. "You wanted everyone to hear your version," I said, my voice steady, controlled. I let the words hang for a moment. Then I met her eyes. "So tell me, Vanessa," a beat, "what exactly were you hoping would happen next?" For a moment, no one answered. Not Vanessa, not Daniel, not a single person in that room. Because the truth had already spoken, and it was louder than anything else ever could be. I took a slow breath, letting the silence settle, not as tension this time, but as clarity. "You wanted to know what was really going on," I said, my voice calmer now. "Here it is." I turned slightly, addressing the room, not just Vanessa anymore. "A few weeks ago, I started noticing things. Small things. Files moved, messages marked as read when I hadn't opened them. At first, I thought I was just overwhelmed. I paused, letting that sink in. But then, it kept happening. So I did something simple. I installed a security camera in my office. A few people exchanged glances. I didn't know who it was. I didn't even suspect Vanessa at first. I just knew someone was trying to interfere with my life. I gestured toward the screen behind me. And now we all know who. Vanessa let out a shaky breath, but she didn't argue anymore. She couldn't. Every piece of her story had just collapsed in front of everyone. I turned to Daniel. This part wasn't easy. It never would be. "You asked me if any of it was true," I said quietly. His eyes dropped. "I get why you did," I added, "but that moment mattered." His voice broke slightly. "Amara, I'm so sorry. I should have trusted you." And there it was. Not perfect, not enough to erase what happened, but real. Around us, the energy shifted again, this time into something heavier. Regret. A few guests approached me quietly, offering apologies. Others couldn't even meet my eyes. And Vanessa, she stood there, alone. The confidence she walked in with was gone, replaced by something raw, exposed. Daniel turned toward her, his expression firm now. "You need to leave," he said. No anger, just finality. She hesitated, just for a second, before grabbing her bag and walking out, every step heavier than the last. And just like that, it was over. But not really, because the aftermath came quickly. In the days that followed, the truth spread. Family members distanced themselves from Vanessa. Conversations about legal action began. Defamation, manipulation, intentional harm. Her reputation didn't just crack, it collapsed. As for us, Daniel and I didn't pretend everything was fine. Trust doesn't rebuild overnight, but we faced it honestly, together. Weeks later, I stood back in my office, the same room, the same space where everything quietly started. I looked at the small camera in the corner for a long moment, then reached up and turned it off. Not because I was naive, but because I was done living on guard. I walked out, lighter than I had felt in a long time. Because some people try to rewrite your story, but the
the truth always finds its way back to you.